Would you be surprised if I said we'd abandoned all of the tactical changes we made over the summer and gone back to the system we've used for the last few years? I'm sure you probably wouldn't be surprised. And also, don't forget, you only have a few days left to buy these shirts. I know I keep showing you the pinky red one. Obviously, you do have the green one that some of you think is grey. It's green, available as well. Plus the one based on the National Autistic Society logo. They're only available for the next few days. You won't ever be able to order these shirts again after the 12th of March. I think it's the 12th. After the 12th of March. The link is right at the top of the description if you want to order one. But you won't ever be able to do it again after then. So if you want one, now is the time. Hello and welcome to part 65 of It's Coming Home. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we're away against Lincoln and also away against our perennial bogey club, Chester, who are just following us around everywhere, both in League One. Since you were last with me, we had a bit of a iffy period. Obviously, we started the season reasonably well, but I wasn't very happy with how we were playing. We were very poor against Exeter, very poor against Fleetwood. I mean, we weren't great against Fylde. What division are Fylde in? Fylde are down in League 2. So we gave the new direct counter-attacking system 5 games, and then I thought, you know what? I'm not enjoying this. I want us to play positive, possession-based attacking football again. We did that for the game against Northampton, won 2-0. Then got a very respectable draw away against Bolton. We did lose twice against Barnsley. But remember, Barnsley are Lerick Fernandez's parent club, so he couldn't play in either of those 2 games. Plus, Barnsley are one of the best teams in the division, and we gave them a good fight. We were scoring goals. We were looking attacking. We weren't doing that in these games. And then Huddersfield under 23s, we massively rotated. So I'm not even counting that as a game that was played anyway. So I think the way forward is the system from last year. We're going to be doing it for both of today's matches, unless the first one's a disaster, in which case we'll change it again. And the league situation isn't terrible. Remember, we're battling against relegation this year, which means we need to be hitting the Kev ratio. We are ahead of the Kev ratio, 8 points from 7 games. We're doing okay. Lewis Tyler is the second top scorer in the division because he's had a ridiculous start to life in League One. He is a goal machine now on this left-hand side, which is no bad thing. And this is the team that we're going to be putting out there for the first of today's games. I've finally given up. We've got Humphreys in goal. So Humphreys in goal, a back four of Paliuk, Proctor, Santos and Simpson. And we're giving Cannon a go as our defensive midfielder. He's not perfect at it. As you can see, he'd rather be playing further forward. But the thing with Cannon is he's got experience, lots of experience. So I wanted to find a way to inject some experience into our midfield, which we don't really have. So we're going to try and inject it just there. And obviously, by experience, I mean experience at this level. Shane Phillips has probably played more games than Cannon over the course of his life. But obviously, a lot of them have been down in non-league. Similar with Fernandez and Bakinson. Fernandez and Bakinson are in front of Cannon. And then we're going with a front 3 of Tyler, Harris and Walmsley. Who on earth is Walmsley, I hear you say? Well, Jimmy Walmsley, if you remember, several seasons ago now, we signed a bunch of right wingers all at the same time. And how we laughed that I'd signed so many right wingers. I'd never get to play all of them. Jimmy Walmsley, we never did play him until we played him in a couple of cup games this season, and he looked fairly lively. And then it appeared that, hang on a minute, this lad's doing a Mick Powell. His star rating is now as good as Connor Stanley's. I mean, okay, Stanley also still has good potential because he's still only 23. But he has better potential than Stanley. This is a player who's basically as good as Connor Stanley, and we've never really given him a chance with the first team around him in a league game. So we're going to do that today, and we're going to have a look at Jimmy Walmsley. He might be rubbish, in which case we've got Ken Sinclair on the bench, who I know you lot think is the man I should be playing there. I'm troubled by having too many circles that look like that. And if we put Sinclair in, look, if we swap those two over, I mean, look at the state of that. I can't live in that world. We need to swap it back again, get Walmsley in, and have a proper look at him. We've got Stanley on the bench as well, so you can never have too many right wingers on your bench, in my experience. So I've already introduced the team, haven't I? Let's get into the game. My one worry, that I'm not going to dwell on too much at this point, is that Anthony Harris is not exactly scoring goals for fun, which really, he never has. Since he left us 5 years ago, he's never been particularly prolific. Perhaps he's just not a prolific striker. He was just playing way below his level when he was with us before. Let's calmly give the fans a performance and defy the odds. He did get a couple in the cup, which was promising, but he still only has that one league goal so far. We have brought Mick Powell on a few times. Powell also picked up an injury, which kept him out for a little while. So Polosky has had a couple of appearances off the bench as well. Nobody's really scoring prolifically for us, apart from Tyler. So we're continuing with Harris because we're paying him a lot of money. But I'm not going to get too worried about it because we're not a very good team. So we're not going to have a 30-goal striker. We didn't have a 30-goal striker last year and we got promoted. I think Mick Powell was our top scorer last year on 13 goals. So I'm not going to worry too much. You all know I'd rather have a 30-goal striker in the team, but perhaps Harris just needs to bed himself back in again. I thought he was going to score then as I was talking about him, which would have been delicious. You can also see we've got Alex Carmichael down on the bench, another one of our Patreon youngsters. He can play in central midfield or up front. We brought him on in the game against Huddersfield under-23s, and he played as a striker and actually looked quite good until we got a midfielder sent off, and then we dropped him back into midfield, and he looked quite good there as well. So I think it's not going to be long before Alex Carmichael forces his way into the team, similar to how David Sawinski did roughly halfway through last season, and hopefully he can make a similar kind of impact. Tyler, I thought he was going to square it for Harris. We've won a corner. I'm not going to get upset about it. And obviously Harris's only league goal this season has come from a corner, so maybe he'll do another one. It doesn't get anywhere near him. Falls to Bakinson. Bakinson can't find Santos, and Santos is just a clumsy oaf. I thought he'd got himself sent off for a second there, but no, just a yellow card for Ricardo Santos, who, it does trouble me that I'm still having to play Ricardo Santos. I am still actively searching for a good centre-back, but when you've not got any money to spend and you don't use the player search screen, easier said than done. And hopefully we'll find someone who can come in January. We're still looking at free transfers all the time. We've brought in a few more Premier League rejects who are knocking around, a lot of them being loaned out for full wages as well. So we're the Chelsea of League One. We're hoovering up all the young talent and loaning it out to non-league, in the hope that some of them will either be able to sell on or might make it into our team. It's my new route to profit. Lots of youngsters that we can then sell on. Tyler plays it out to Cannon. Cannon crosses, doesn't quite get to a home shirt, but Bakinson plays it out to Cannon again. He gets a third attempt at the cross, and again it's cleared, but only as far as Paliuk, who's going to knock it back to the keeper, I think. In fact, he doesn't. The highlight just ends. Lincoln with the free kick, and I think we've played, bearing in mind we're doing a controlled possession system, I'm a little bit worried we've only had 40-ish% of possession. Paliuk with the corner. Well, I tell you what, Walmsley hasn't looked out of place at all. I don't think he probably would have been a little bit closer to the first team last year if we hadn't have had Ainley knocking around the place with Stanley, and then Sinclair arriving at Christmas. I think we had a lot of strength in depth on the right-hand side of midfield last year and kind of didn't notice Walmsley as he was doing a Mick Powell. But I don't think we're going to forget about him now. Q, never seeing him in a video again. You all know how this works. But it is proof that sometimes the youngsters that I sign do eventually make it into the first team, albeit not for very long sometimes. Harris on the right-hand side. Big crossover to Fernandez, and Lerick Fernandez should have done a little bit better with that. You can see his parent club top of the league at the moment. That's why there was no shame in us losing against them twice. I'm going to, calmly, just keep doing what you're doing. We're still underdogs. We're still doing all right. We're creating chances. We've had 2 clear-cut chances in this game. So that's better than not having any. They've only had 1. If only we had a prolific striker. I mean, that's change the record, Kev. You wanted Anthony Harris for years. You've got him now. Get him scoring. Hits it straight at the keeper. I imagine that's another clear-cut chance that's been squandered. What do we do to turn him into a prolific striker? The problem we've got, and we found it with the counter-attacking system we were trying to do, because the quality of our players in general is quite low. If we do anything other than just try and keep hold of the ball and control possession, other teams just tear us apart. So we need to play this system to avoid getting absolutely battered. The only problem is this system isn't really built around scoring loads of goals. Is that gone down as a Harris goal? It hasn't. It's an own goal. Who cares? We're 1-0 up, and I'm giving Anthony Harris all the credit for that. It was a big ball over the top from Fernandes. Harris chases, and what happens next is Football Manager-y. Straight at the keeper, bounces back onto the defender. Harris is there chasing. Keeper can't get back to it. Who cares about the details? We're 1-0 up, away against Lincoln, and that's marvellous. That's the kind of thing we want to be doing. Right, let's have a look at substitutions. Lewis Tyler. I want to get Carmichael on the pitch. I'm just trying to decide who to bring him on for. We have a lot of right wingers and fullbacks and Mick Powell's there, but not a lot else. I guess what we could do, if Carmichael can play on the left hand side of midfield, we could drop the wingers back, which will then allow us to get Sinclair on as well in his natural position. So if Carmichael comes back to play there, be an inverted winger. Why not? I've never used an inverted winger before, but you go knock yourself out. And then we're also going to bring, where is he? Ken Sinclair on there. And we're just going to leave it as that. So we're still playing, everything else is unchanged. We're just dropping the wingers back a little bit. We're 1-0 up, 20 minutes to go against a team we were supposed to lose to. Let's just drop the wingers back. And it also allows us to give Alex Carmichael his debut. I'm also going to bring Mick Powell on, because I know you love a bit of Mick Powell. So Mick Powell can come on. We've got him back playing as a poacher again, because he's not scoring in any role at the moment. So let's play him in his most natural one and hope that as a poacher he'll just lurk around and grab a goal somehow. Humphreys collects beautifully from the corner, and hopefully we're just not going to mess it up from here. Humphreys, big ball forward. I think he was looking for Powell, but I don't know where Powell is. There's Carmichael. He knew where Powell was because he finds him, and it goes back to Carmichael again, who's in a crossing position. Cross comes over. It falls to Cannon, over to Simpson. Sinclair, who's played it back to Simpson again. He slowed it down nicely, I guess. Cannon. Back to Santos. We're going the wrong way, but with a minute left, I guess that's not a disaster. It's back with Sinclair again, though, on the right-hand side, who's beaten his man, found Fernandes, and it goes just wide from Lerick Fernandes. And, actually, there was longer left than I thought. But there really is only 20 seconds left now, and hopefully we can't mess this up from here. But, we'll find a way. We never give up. Ball over the top towards Powell, doesn't get there, but Fernandes finds Sinclair, and with 3 seconds left, I think we have won this game now. And we have. That is an excellent performance and an excellent result. Well done, gentlemen. Let's go and do the same again against Chester. And, how are they up in fourth? They've come with us all the way through, and they just keep getting better, and we don't. Well, I guess we do. We're kind of following them all the way. If we beat them, we'll go above them now. So let's go beat Chester. The other piece of news, which I've actually forgot to mention in the video, but we have talked about on Twitter, so you should be following Holme_FC on Twitter, is that Serenak Nuhu is leaving. The club is up for sale. Apparently, there's a board takeover going on. I don't know if that means one of our existing board is taking over as chairman and Serenak Nuhu's moving on, or if someone from outside is coming in to take over. But the days of Serenak Nuhu at home are numbered. And that's very sad. He should be on the legends or icons list. He's the man who created the club and bankrolled us all the way here. We couldn't have done it without his money and his investment. He needs. If I'm an icon, Serenak Nuhu is definitely an icon as well. There we go. The Walmsley experiment is over. Connor Stanley is back in the team on the right wing. Shane Phillips back in defensive midfield as well. And we've now got almost all completely perfect circles. I love a completely perfect circle. You notice the other tweak I made when we switched back to this tactic is going back to having the automated player instruction things on there, where I've gone and given everybody specific player instruction for each position, so I don't have to keep remembering to change them. Sometimes I just forget to do it. Apart from at wing back, I always want people playing wing back. I don't want him playing as a full back just because I don't want a no-nonsense full back just because he likes it better. He can be a wing back. But the amount of times I forget to change strikers or central midfielders into their best position. So this way, the game does it for me. It's an excellent little feature. There you go. You can see my personalised instruction for him is that he's always a central midfielder attack when he plays just there. It's awesome. And I know most of you probably already do stuff like that, but some people might not. And I've just saved you hours of time. Kev's Football Manager tutorials. Oh, I think there's a future in it. let's play Chester, who they beat us quite regularly, don't they? They're always just a little bit better than we are. So yes, we're the underdogs again. Give them the old underdog speech, and hopefully we can win as underdogs again, like we did in that last game. 12 points from 9 games so far, which is an excellent return for a team who are supposed to be relegated. If we could pick up another win today, we'd be up in the playoff mix, which, nobody's expecting us to be anywhere near the playoffs at the end of the season, but the more points we can get on the board now, the less we have to stress later when we have the heart ripped out of our team in January, when all of our best players get sold out from under us because either Serenaknu, who's had to stay and needs money, or the new chairman's come in and wants money, because we are massively in debt. I'm hoping a new owner will come in and clear that debt and we don't need to worry about it for a little while. But with they're not talking about an oil tycoon coming in, are they? It's a local businessman. Well, I suspect the local businessman isn't going to be dripping with cash. Connor Stanley forcing a good save out of the Chester keeper, and we win a corner. And it's Palick to take and doesn't beat the first man, but it falls to Lewis Tyler, who plays it back out to Palick again, who can get a cross in on his weak foot. Not the worst cross in the world, but their keeper does. It was straight into his hands. So it also wasn't the best cross in the world. So a cross somewhere in the middle, which I guess is fine. I'm slowly starting to wonder if I like Bakinson or not, who we've plucked from obscurity at Billericay, and he's played pretty much every game, and he's not spectacular in central midfield. We've obviously got we've still got Matty Wolf knocking around. You can see he's there on the bench today, but we've got Alex Carmichael, who can play in central midfield, and I am wondering whether we go for a Patreon midfield again and go Fernandez and Carmichael. But then I think we're in the same issue we had with Sawinski, in that we only seem to be able to create one type of midfielder, and Carmichael's another one just like them. Anthony Harris has scored in the league again, finally. He's had a good episode, actually, Harris. We have to give him that. He was the reason the goal went in the first game, and that's a lovely little finish from Harris in this game as well. Hopefully he's bedding himself back into home now, and we'll slowly start to see the free-scoring Anthony Harris that we all know and love from 4 or 5 divisions lower. Lovely finish. Chester 0, home 1. And as it stands, we're only 4 points off the top of the league. Let's not say words like that. But closing in on quarter of the way through the season, we've done all right so far. Hopefully we're not going to get relegated this season, because I don't want to get relegated at any point in this series. Did we ever get relegated from the league last year? I feel like we might have got relegated out of the Premier League and gone back up again, but also that could have been LOLLUJO FC on Twitch, and I can't remember which one it was. Harris has just scored again, and he scores a lot of headers these days. For a man that was always, if you remember way back when, he was always too quick for opposition defences and just used to tear them apart with his pace. He seems to have developed into a different kind of forward and scores more often with his head now, which I'm not going to complain about. I smell a complete forward in his future. But it's Chester 0, home 2. Anthony Harris with both goals. And that was a beautiful cross from, I think that second one was Simpson, because it came in from the right-hand side. Fernandez with the assist for the first one. 2-0 up at half-time. Everybody's happy. Let's just calm. Ah, no. Okay, that didn't actually go. What did I say there? They liked that. I don't even know what I said. It doesn't tell me. Oh, well. Whatever it did, it worked. If we now lose, I'll know not to ever click the middle option again. I was trying to tell him to concentrate, or words to that effect. But I think I've actually given him a pat on the head. Are you all right there, computer? Just going to make noises at me, are you? My word. In the middle of the game as well, so I can't even edit it out. At least with a cough, I know they're coming, and I wait until a pause in the conversation. If you're just going to blong over the top of me, you lot probably didn't even hear it. That's where we find out how good my microphone is. Oh, good. We're back to this. Now we've gone back to automated player instructions again. We're back to this nonsense happening. Stupid thing. Right, Bakinson is going to come off, and they're going to bring on Matty Wolf to play alongside Fernandez. The National League North partnership. And Phillips, captain today. No one to bring on for him. But we do have Patrick Webber, who can come on for Palick. And we'll leave it there. We want Harris to get his hat-trick. So normally I would bring Mick Powell on with 20 minutes to go, because He always used to come off with 20 minutes to go. Now he comes on with 20 minutes to go every game. But Harris is playing well today, so it seems wrong to bring him on. Although, I am going to bring him on. I'm going to bring him on for Tyler, because I'm still toying with the idea of converting him into an inside forward on that left-hand side. We're not even training him there. I'm just having a look. Let's see if he looks good when he's never played there before in his life. But Mick Powell gets 10 minutes playing on the left as an inside forward. It might be his future. Webber with the corner. Can he find Harris for his hat-trick? He can't. And that should be that, because we're already well over the time added on. And I don't think he's even going to get to take the kick. There we go. The Harris Show, it said at the bottom there. I think this whole episode has been the Anthony Harris Show. Excellent work. I think they deserve a bit of passion after that, because that has been 2 good wins in a season where I didn't expect to be having any double win episodes. But we've done it today, and we are sitting pretty just outside the playoffs, I think. If we have a look at the league table, I mean, we'd have taken that. 9 games in, 14 points on the board. We're not looking up, we're looking down. We're 7 points clear of relegation. We're closer to the title than we are to relegation at the moment. This is good. Right, when are we going to be back for the next video? We're going to do another 5 or 6 games in the league, so we'll get those ones done. And I think we'll probably do Cheltenham and Coventry. Doesn't the FA Cup happen somewhere around here? We might do the FA Cup first round if that appears somewhere in there. Otherwise, Cheltenham and Coventry, I think, is the next episode. Seems like a good one. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.